podcast. I'm Brandon. I've got my great co-host Dag with me. How you doing, Dag?
Doing excellent, man. Just, committing agorism. How you doing?
Committing agorism. If anyone asks, I'm not committing anything. You don't know nothing.
When we had David on last week, and he was like, "Yeah, I'm just, what do you say? Like, I'm trying to something about living life like the ultimate agorist or extremely agorist or something like that."
Right.
And you were like, "Oh, what do you mean by that?" And I'm thinking like, "Oh, stuffing the dogs with Tenorite and cocaine. Awesome." I actually did do some cool not illegal agorist shit this week. I processed like 100 chickens, filled my freezers, so that was really nice. Getting caught back up there. Food security, etc. And I had one of my best friends. We were chilling last night. We were sitting at the bar, and I went ahead and got him set up with a Bitcoin.com wallet. I sent him $20 in BCH into $10 increments to show him how to do it with like copy and pasting and QR codes and stuff like that. So I was feeling really good about myself bringing someone on board.
That's cool, man. I'm a cheap bastard. I like to send people like 5 cents just to show them, like, okay. You can't send 5 cents with a bank, right? So that's one of the reasons why I do it is because like you need to at least many banks you need to at least send them like there's like $25 minimum, and it takes like 2 to 3 days to get there, and like all that crap. But it's like, dude, I just sent you 5 cents in like 2 seconds. Try doing that with any bank, right? And so yeah, that's why I do 5 cents. But I probably should do more. But it's like I don't know.
I figure if I give him $20, then it's a good number. He can watch it like go up or down, maybe get excited about it too.
Or actually be able to do something with it later on, like
feel like he's got a little something, I was like, you just wait a few years, buddy, and that's really gonna pay off.
Yeah. Just wait.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm excited for Float Fest. How about you? I'm excited.
I am very excited for Float Fest. We talked with I'm sure you guys heard us interview with Aaron and
Alex
from Float. Alex, that's what it was. Right. Sorry guys, I'm terrible with names.
The COO.
They were on a few episodes ago. Yes, that's right. He's actually important. But they were talking about Float Fest. It should be really cool. It's in Austin. Is it? Gosh, a week away. It's coming up on us quick, man. It's with the 8th to the 11th, I believe.
I don't even know how you pronounce that town. It's like in a town like an hour and a half away from Austin. It's like Gays, Texas. I don't know. Something like that. And but yeah, we'll both, me and Dag, plan on going, so we'll both be there. So yeah, come say hi to us. Come have a drink with us. We'd love to hang out with you guys.
I'll cook you some chicken. It'll be a good time.
Yeah, Dag. Probably. Are you going to be like processing chickens there, or are you just bringing like...
processing chickens? Hell no. I'm gonna bring some chicken. It might be a little on the frozen side for the first couple of days to make sure it lasts. That's fine. It's easy to thaw. But yeah, I'm definitely gonna bring a ton for us to be eating. I'll probably bring a little bit extra in case anybody wants to like buy any, in case you need food while you're there.
I mean, I like my chicken super fresh, Dag. So. If you're not wringing its neck in front of me, I don't know if I want to eat it or not.
It's like when you buy a lobster at like the seafood restaurant, you pick it out,
Right.
You go ahead and pick out a live one. I'll get them ready for you.
Exactly.
You better kill something because we're not stopping on the way home.
It just doesn't have that chickeny taste unless you see it run around with its head gone, so
you got to see the fear in its eyes. Sorry, it's getting a little too dark. I'm very humane with my chickens, guys. I swear, I really am. I don't do anything like that. It's over very quickly. I'm very conscious of my chickens' well-being, so I promise.
Yeah, and they're like grass-fed and stuff too, aren't they? Like, do you like grass-fed?
They're pasture-raised. Yeah, they live outside, in the grass and sunshine and all that. They're taken very good care of. It's one of the reasons that if not the main reason, I raise my own meat is because I am a big animal lover, and the thought of industrial agriculture is just awful. Hell on earth, and I don't want to put my food through that. So no, I care very much for my animals for sure.
Well, yeah, that's good to hear. Well, with that said, I guess we should get on to our sponsor. Pre-search. Pre-search. I mean, it's such a great search engine. Like, if you're not using pre-search, I don't know what to tell you. With Google, you get spied on. With pre-search, you don't get spied on. With Google, you do searches. With pre-search, you get crypto for searching. So it's also a decentralized search engine, which Agorist. As Agorist, we definitely believe in decentralization. We don't really believe in centralized anything. I don't think.
There's tons of different search engines you can use within pre-search as well too. So you can search within there's a few it gives you, but you can actually add a lot. So like you can search within Amazon. You can search within Home Depot's website. You can actually search within Float through them, CoinGecko, all sorts of other sites. I'm just reading off the list here, so I cover a few of them. But there's Target, a bunch of these other symbols I don't even recognize because I'm not that in the loop. Looks like Bing, Twitter, YouTube, et cetera, et cetera. At any rate, you can search within so many other sites from the pre-search page, so it's really convenient.
And you can mine it. It's like mining. You'll help the search engine, and then you get rewarded in the pre-tokens for doing it. So you can do that, and then there's what do they call it? Keyword staking, which let's say there's a word out there that you like. You're selling pens or something, right? You can put tokens down on the word pens, and anyone who searches that, your search will be on top. So I think I forget it's an insane percentage, but most searches don't go past the first page. So being on the first page is pretty important. So I love their keyword staking. It actually has helped out Agorist Nexus.
Yeah, I mean, just try a random word like agorism and see what comes up. You might be surprised. I don't know.
No, yeah, don't do that, because don't take my word.
Oh shit!
Doxing you over here, bro. Doxing me.
So oh mercy. So what do we got going on today, man?
Well, I don't plan on doing Endgame episodes. Just when there's enough.
They don't give us any choice, bro.
Yeah, I mean, there's all this news and stuff, so it's kind of like we kind of have to, right? So we're doing a Endgame 4 episode, and like some of the stuff we mentioned, but it's not like it's either not done yet, or like back then we were called conspiracy theorists for saying it, but now it's like, okay, this is either something that they want to do, or this is something that they're already implementing, and it's like no longer so.
Yeah, I really don't like it when people like come on. They're like, oh, I said way back when, and and I said this and I said that. So I really hate to be like an I told you so kind of thing. That's not what this is intended to be. But like, gosh, for the love of Christ, man, some of this stuff is just so like you can actually pull up articles and stuff from back when. Back when we were saying some of this stuff. How long have we been doing these episodes for? Anyhow, for months back, and like, oh no, detention centers that's a conspiracy theory. That's not true. That's not going to happen. And then it's like when it does, it's just like, yeah, see, told you so.
Right. Yeah. It's yeah. I don't even feel like we have to say that. Just just go back and listen to the other episodes. Really. And the thing too is like you don't have to listen to the first 3 Endgame episodes to listen to this one. If you just want to skip to this one, that's perfectly fine. But we will mention like, hey, this is something we mentioned in a previous episode. I think we mentioned almost everything in here except for like the recent protests, which we had no idea.
Yeah, we haven't talked much about that.
But everything else were like mentioned in previous episodes, but they weren't like, they either weren't implemented or they weren't like it was considered conspiracy. So stuff like that. But yeah, with that said, we'll start out with what's up, Dad?
C article or video.
Oh yeah, the digital. So we've got a video, but and we'll just put it in the link. and we'll just talk about it.
Yeah. Check out the video. It really is interesting, guys. It's like 5 minutes, totally worth a watch. I gotta say, like, I'm a little surprised that they're actually. I'm always very surprised when I hear something on mainstream news that like I kind of agree with. The anchor on this I think was I don't agree with her, but some of the people she had on I think actually was kind of interesting. Do you want to give us a rundown on this one, Brandon, or I don't want to just go talk about particular parts? You gotta.
Yeah, so basically they're saying that, and they're quoting the Jerome Powell, which is the federal, or actually they're showing, I think they show a clip of him, or do they interview him, or do they show a clip of him? They interview him?
No, they're just showing a clip of him talking about Bitcoin.
Oh, okay. That's right. Yeah, so they show a clip of him talking about Bitcoin, and he's basically going into like a digital dollar and stuff like that. So I don't know if you have
well, what's interesting about it is they're talking about they're talking about the all the stuff Bitcoin's doing, and he's talking about some like the pros or cons, and of course everything he's saying is a con of like Bitcoin. He's saying like we can't let it get too much power because it's gonna undermine the power of the central banks. Like, and we're like, yeah, dude, that's the point. It's just so great to hear them say it.
Yeah, absolutely. Like they know that their end is coming, which is great. I mean, and shout out to the Dollar Vigilante too, because I saw a video of his, and him and Ed Bugos, his partner over there, they had both mentioned like governments are going to try to institute these like digital crypto fiat currencies, and that they'll eventually fail, that cryptos will win out, and yeah, shout out to them, because BK in this video, I think he goes by Brian Kelly.
I think that was it. Yeah.
He was pretty much saying the same thing, like this is just going to legitimize. This is going to legitimize crypto as a whole. It's going to get everybody using crypto so that they know how to use it, and then once they find the real cryptos, they're like, oh wow, I've got so much more freedom with this other one that gains value. And my crappy one, they just print, manipulate. They even take money out if I don't do certain things. So
that's what they were talking about in here, that they'll load your UBI on there or your stimulus, and if you don't spend it fast enough or on the things they want you to, like, they'll take money back out.
Yeah, they'll like use it against you. Like the stimulus is meant to stimulate the economy, so you have to spend it, and if you don't, we'll take it out and like penalize you. And it's like, man, just very
talk about perverse incentives, man. Oh, you want to save money for a rainy day? Nope.
Yeah, there's this money that we got from our tax slaves. We're now giving it to you, but if you don't do what we want you to with it, then it's insane. It's insane. And why people give government this much power over their lives is just probably fear driven. Yeah, madness and fear.
But this other guy they had on, I don't see his name. Anyhow, even he was saying like he's no fan of the Federal Reserve and central banks and stuff. And I was like, oh, all right. I'm not used to hearing somebody say that on mainstream, what have you. I don't know. It doesn't say. But yeah, he was just talking about like, yeah, once if the government does this digital dollar and they're just pumping money through it, it'll be easier than printing money, right? They can just give it to people digitally, that they'll probably start inflating, and even he says on here it's just going to destroy the dollar, and then people are really going to see oh, well, now we have these two choices, and one of them's going up in value and one of them isn't. What are we going to do? So, it's almost like, I guess, if anybody out there is a collapsitarian, it's almost like, man, we should just be egging them on to do the digital dollar, because it's just going to get this whole thing over with quicker. And I mean, it sounds like it'll just make their case, or make our case for us too,
Right. Now, again, there are positives to this, but I think there will be negatives. The government hates competition, so they will claw their way. They won't go down without kicking and screaming, of course. But But
the dying animal is the most dangerous.
Right. They're going to be clawing and kicking. So the things that I can imagine with this are that of course they will not let you buy crypto with their digital fiat. And before anyone says, oh well, that's too far fetched, remember there were banks in, what was it, 2017, 2018 that said no, that said you cannot make purchases with crypto. I think Capital One was, and Chase was one. There were banks back then that said you cannot make purchases. You cannot make crypto purchases through our bank. So before anyone says it's too far fetched,
yeah, with
stuff like that is already
move crypto directly. And then if you look at anything like if you like they get people who are like people who have been canceled who can't use PayPal, can't use Visa or MasterCard to accept payments, for whatever stupid thing, they've been canceled for. And then even today, pot stores, like dispensaries, they still, in a lot of instances, can't use banking systems, so to think that, they wouldn't use the banking systems as a weapon to stop something that they don't want is not far-fetched at all. I mean, it happens all the time.
Yeah, it happens all the time, even today. So I think they'll do that. They'll restrict purchases. Then people will find ways around it, and then they'll start saying they'll put crazy laws on it. And whether the people accept it or not, I guess it always comes down to fear, right? So who knows what kind of fear tactic they'll use, but it could be like, oh well, these people buying crypto just want to collapse the American economy, and who knows, right? But that's just like
it's funny when you say it like that too, like how much are people gonna comply or care? Because I feel like in a lot of ways, like they can make all the laws they want, but how can they actually effectively regulate this other than just scaring people? But it's something to think about a lot over this last couple of weeks when we had Ray March on a few weeks ago, and he said like people go along with this stuff until it affects them like economically, until they can't afford to go along with it anymore. So it's like, yeah, I mean, really, if you have a currency that works or is good or has value versus one that doesn't, it's like that's really going to affect people, and hopefully they'll just be like, man, fuck off, like we're going to use whatever's best for us. But I've really been putting that phrase or that thought that you see a lot recently. It's really just started making sense with a lot of things. People go along with stuff until they can't afford to, and I think something we'll get into a little bit later, a lot of protests and stuff going on with like lockdowns and stuff. I think people are just getting to the point where they can't afford to be locked down anymore. So hopefully they take action, reasonably and not violently, of course.
Yeah, it's very interesting times that we're living in, and it'll be interesting how all this stuff plays out.
What can they actually do, like other than just write laws and regulations? Like what can they actually do to stop us from using cryptocurrency? Like, I mean, is it going to get to the point where you have to be like really good at computers to know how to get around using this kind of stuff? Or, I mean, do you have any thoughts on that? Because I don't even know where they'd start other than just trying to scare people.
Yeah, I mean, the banks and the government, that they're in bed with each other, and the people who own the central banks are the same people who own the private banks. So
they'll just lock you out from doing business, or lock you out from swapping it out for cash or something.
Yeah,
they'll dollars.
Yeah, they'll make it so that you won't be able to buy any crypto with it. So people will start buying other stuff to then purchase crypto.
Intermediary currency between the two currencies. So it'll be like Amazon gift cards or something will be like the currency that you use to trade,
well, I was thinking like gold. I was thinking like gold and silver. There's some gold and silver places that let you buy gold and silver, and they let you sell your gold and silver back into crypto. So you buy it with crypto and you can sell it back into crypto. Either way.
Okay.
So I think
that works because it'd be something relatively digital otherwise. That's why I was thinking like the Amazon gift cards or something you can send digitally, or something. But yeah, I guess they could do the same thing with gold and silver. I guess you never really have to even touch it. You never have to touch the gold and silver. It can just be somewhere in a warehouse, and just sort of use it like another digital currency.
Yeah, and and when that happens, hopefully history doesn't repeat itself. And I know we had the when FDR started to what was it? It wasn't like a gold like it was kind of like confiscating gold, but it wasn't like they didn't have Gestapo teams going to each house searching your house for gold or
I think
anything.
they get you when you travel. I think it was relatively voluntary. Like it was like, oh, we're doing this, and then I think it also had something to do with they stopped the specie payments. So it was almost like you used to be able to cash in your dollars for gold, and they made it where you couldn't do that anymore. I think that was under FDR. I think that was part of that. Was that they kind of just made it where you couldn't claim your gold?
And then and it was like some kind of requirement to sell it to the government for like less than half of what it was actually worth or whatnot.
Yeah, I think that might have tied into Bretton Woods or something. Wasn't that where they tied a specific price, like a state, like they try to make like $35 an ounce or something like that, just a price instead of a fluctuating price, something like that. I'm a little rusty since I read What Has Government Done to Our Money? It's been a couple of years, but yeah, it was something like that.
Yeah, I'm kind of rusty too. I need to catch up on my history, but yeah, those are interesting times. And then the Japanese got thrown into camps and stuff. Like, how anybody could say FDR was a good president? Yeah, exactly.
He's ranked in like the top for some of these people, and I even say, well, what about like this? Like he threw Japanese people in internment camps. They go, yeah, that was bad, but all the good things he did outweighed the bad things he did. And I'm like, well, and they reference like child labor laws, and I'm like, okay, like that, like a small thing that really didn't matter at that time versus this. And I mean, goddamn, this is gonna sound terrible, but like I'm sure you could use that same argument for every single tyrant in the history of the world, that they did good stuff too. So it must have outweighed it, like I'm gonna go to the old folk here. I'm sure that Hitler had some good programs too. Like I think Hitler like ended child labor also. Like that doesn't mean like he was a good dude.
Maybe it was child labor. I can't remember, but I think he like constructed the Autobahn and started Volkswagen, and like did all did all the stuff to really industrialize Germany. But nobody says, oh well, the good outweighed the bad.
Yeah, I mean, it was like Castro and the reading program. I mean, any tyrant. Because if they're not doing something that at least appears to be good, they wouldn't be able to keep that, superstition of power. People have to see them as legitimate, and usually you do a couple good things to sort of win people over,
So I think that with all that, the government will, and this is going back to gold and silver, the government will have to in some ways restrict purchases because people start buying other stuff. People start buying other stuff to get to crypto. And so they'll have to selectively say, okay, like what can we restrict and get away with restricting where people can't buy crypto. And that's where it's really going to be interesting, especially for an agorist, right? And there's going to be I think there's going to be a lot of opportunities to help people. But I think that if you do decide to help out in some way, make sure that you're very careful, because I think that there's could definitely be some risk when that happens. Now, again, I don't have my crystal ball, right? But I'm just kind of going off of like what government does and what they have done throughout history. So,
yeah. Well, this is really interesting times right now with crypto blowing up like it is. It's really interesting to see the politicians and mainstream news and stuff like that have to deal with it and have to confront it and have to talk about it. And it's also just hilarious because it's like most of them don't know what the hell they're talking about. In this video we're talking about here, the anchor lady looks very confused. It sounds very confused. But I almost feel like they put on those airs sometimes too when I watch this stuff. Like they're sounding this stupid on purpose, right? Like it's on. They're trying to play to their audience. Are they really that stupid? I don't know. I really hate TV news.
All right. What to think. Yeah. So Spain. We should get into Spain now.
Let's do it.
In the other Endgame episodes, we were talking about how Spain was going to put people on a registry for not getting like if you decided not to get the vaccine, that you would be put into a registry, and they're still going along with that now, but also they're trying to get something passed right now that says, okay, you will get charged 60,000 euros. 60,000.
If you refuse to be vaccinated, and not only COVID, but any other future virus that they choose. So they're just trying to permanently, change this. It's, in fairness, it's not passed yet, but they're kind of talking about it in this article as if they're expecting it to be.
What's the article? It's Sir National, right, in English?
Yeah. We can
sirinenglish.com.
We'll put the sure.
Yeah, it's
but yeah, right.
It's a very short article, really easy to read, pretty self-explanatory. So yeah, take a look at it.
I guess you're saying right now it's between 1,000 and 3,000 euros, but they're going to up that to 3,000 to 60,000 euros for refusal to be vaccinated, and of course they quote may pose a risk or serious damage to the health of the population, which of course brings us back to if you're vaccinated, why do I have to be vaccinated? I don't.
Yeah, I mean, if you're vaccinated, you should be safe from unvaccinated people, right? I mean, I don't see why you're. I mean, at least like if they don't want to, I mean, don't force them. I'm not like, I don't know. I just have a problem with anything to where you can't take legal action. It's like if something goes wrong, I can't sue. And also, I feel like my immune system is healthy enough to be able to resist and fight and survive these. Maybe when I'm older.
Yeah, there's something like COVID. Yeah. And I mean, like you're saying, it's like you can't sue. Like that's sort of supposed to be the, the check, right? Like, if there's somebody comes out with something and it's an issue, that's supposed to be how we keep things like that in check, and if people have no consequences, they don't necessarily put out a good product. I mean, look at government; they have no consequences. They put out a terrible product.
Yeah, absolutely.
So that's that one. We just got a couple here that we wanted to, pick out for y'all that are, worth keeping an eye on, and also just sort of back up what us, and when I say us or we, I don't just mean, me and Brandon, like, all you people listening and stuff, and everybody else in our circles, we tend to think pretty similarly about this whole thing. We've kind of been apprehensive about government action and stuff. So, we just want to point out that, shit might be going down, guys. So, be as ready as you can, I guess. We got anything else on Spain or?
The bill in Parliament is a response to President Alberto, that's his name, to create restrictive measures against the pandemic, blah, blah, blah.
It sounds like the Parliament is, sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, refusal to study reform of health law sanction against vaccine deniers, take a tougher line with people who do not comply with directives to stop the spread of the virus. People who do not comply.
Dude, at first that line was hitting me, but now that I heard you say it, the one right above it, reform of the health law to sanction vaccine deniers. That's almost even creepier. If you're a vaccine denier, then we're going to take legal action against you. So I mean, that's basically thought crime.
Yeah, absolutely.
Nice to know we're moving along nicely towards 84.
Right? Yeah, we're getting there.
We're working it up.
Now, the next article we wanted to cover was in Canada, and Canada. If we want to, yeah, go ahead.
Oh, I didn't know if we wanted to shout out DVT before we moved on to Canada. It seems like a good.
That's
like we're about halfway through.
Good breaking point. You want to start it out?
Yeah. Big shout out to our other sponsors, Devault Cryptocurrency, ticker symbol DVT. Really cool cryptocurrency guys. They coming out with some privacy features here through Terraform, which is really neat. They've got a cool voting system for their governance model and everything. So really great crypto. You guys should check them out.
Yeah, and I like the cold staking feature. Super easy. Just click cold stake and enter the
it's like a savings account that works.
Yeah, it's super. Yeah, savings account that works, and I think you get more than I think you get more than 1% back, or you'll get more than whatever bank gives you back. So, super nice. But DVT Devault is definitely a project worth looking at. Again, like we never provide financial advice ever, and we never will. So like, do all your own research on everything. But yeah, definitely worth looking.
I'm not telling you to buy it. I'm just telling you to check it out. Just take a peek. That's all.
Yeah, go window shopping, right?
Yeah, I mean, that's not financial advice. We're just telling you to check it out. That's all. So, so do that. And so then, if we wanted to move on to our friendly neighbors to the north, Canada, they we definitely did. I mean, I think one of our Endgame episodes, maybe it was 2, if I remember correctly. Anyhow, doesn't matter. One of them, we spent a lot of time talking about Canada because there was an interesting report. Some of the folks in their government, I don't know if we consider parliament or not, but they were talking about some concerns of some plans that were, going to be in effect. A couple points, if I remember correctly. One was that they were going to, even if COVID-19 started to die out, that soon it was going to be, COVID-21 or something that they were going to throw out there as a new fear. And I don't know if you guys have heard about the new variants. Is that what they're calling them? The new variants? There's the UK variant and the Brazil variant or something, some South America, something or other. So now there's new strains of it that are out and about and are more dangerous or more resistant or more fucking, I don't know, man, contagious or whatever. But
whenever they say new
that's
variant,
happening.
It always seems like it's a new variant that they in my eye. I mean, I don't know, but it always seems like that to me. Maybe I'm just one of those paranoid tinfoil hat.
It just seems like the way the cold behaves. That's why there's a different one every year. That's why they don't bother making vaccines for it today, because it's the way coronaviruses are. Like, it's not. I mean, they don't really think there was a COVID-18, there's a COVID-17, there's a COVID-12. Like, it doesn't. It's not a big deal. That's why you don't hear about it. It's just the way these things operate, dude. It's I don't know. That's why it's so frustrating to me, man. Because this shit isn't like unique. It's like basic biology, and it's like once you go beyond basic biology, then it's like people like read too deeply into some of this shit. It's like, no, it's just basic. it's just basic virus stuff, dude. Like, you get it, get over it. You have immunity, we move on. But with this, it's no, you can get it twice, and it's worse the second time. And we've got this vaccine, but it doesn't actually make you immune, and
and you still have to wear a mask.
I don't understand this world anymore. Yeah, you still have to wear a fucking mask. Okay, so anyhow, and it's funny saying that actually brings me back to topic. So a lot of this mandatory quarantine and isolation stuff with Canada right now for travel, especially. And one of the reasons that we're bringing this part up is because this is where they talk about things that go hand in hand with that, like detention facilities and stuff like that. But so basically, they're talking about if you're coming to Canada, things that you have to do. There's some different things, flying or driving, but they're pretty similar. So basically, if you are, let's say I wanted to go visit Canada. First of all, they might not let me visit because I'm not a resident. But if they do, basically there is a...
What are the sources on this too? We'll name the sources real fast.
I am getting this information from the Government of Canada's website. So
which one?
Mouth, so to speak.
I want my source, Dag. I want my source. Give me my source.
The actual page is travel.gc.ca/travel-COVID. That is the actual page I'm on. But I want to say the actual short one would be www.alberta.ca. Okay. Is going to give you your COVID-19 travel requirements for Canada. Sorry, I was like 3 links deep in that. So, but yeah, so it is actually from the Canadian government. So again, as good of a source as you can get on this kind of stuff, I guess. But yeah, so basically you will have to take a test before you get on the plane. You have to pass. You have to take a test again when you get off the plane. And there's all sorts of stuff, man. Here, like the actual checklist, because it's stuff like you have to have like before you travel, you have to have your quarantine plan. Like they have to approve your quarantine plan. You get your pre-entry COVID-19 test before you get on the plane. You have to have a 3-night hotel stay reserved at your expense, of course, before, that's part of your plan. You have to register in advance for your arrival test. So you fly, you get off the plane, you get your second test, you stay in a hotel, and this is all, you have to have your plan. They make sure you get there and everything. You have to stay in a hotel for 3 days till your results come back. Then if your results come back negative, you have to quarantine for a full 14 days. I think it's an additional 10 days, at that point, because you've been there 3. So you have to quarantine whether you pass the test or not. If you pass the test or if you get negative, you can quarantine where you like, a hotel of your choosing, or I guess wherever your destination is going to be when you're there. I don't think you're supposed to interact with people, though. So if you're visiting a family member, I don't think you're supposed to go to their house and quarantine at their house. If that test comes back positive, however, you do not get to quarantine somewhere of your choosing. They take you to a government quarantine center. It might still be a hotel or something, but it is government, approved and guarded and all that good stuff. So it's a lot of stuff there that they're making you get planned out ahead of time and everything. But here's one thing that is interesting, and that when we maybe think of this when you talk about once you get your vaccine, you're still going to wear a mask and do this, that, or the other. So there are some people who are exempt from all this quarantine stuff. Some things that do not exempt you, though, which is hilarious, is you've already had and gotten over COVID, you're not exempt. If you've gotten your vaccine, you're not exempt. And again, it's like, you fucking had it already. Like, it doesn't affect you. Or if you've had your vaccine and they supposedly work, which somewhere on here it brags about how the vaccines are 99% effective, then you should be able to, not have to deal with all this. Penalties for violating any instructions provided to you under the Quarantine Act: 6 months in prison and or $750,000 in fines. Doesn't mean if you have it and spread it. That's just if you violate any of their instructions under this act. If they conclude that you do give it to somebody, it's a fine of $1 million and up to 3 years in prison, or both. Of course, that's something that's unprovable, but I'm sure that they could, make a good enough case. So it's yeah.
Yeah, that's wild. Definitely.
Yeah, so that's the deal. Yeah, a little bit. So again, something that we said, detention centers, etc. Articles were going around that was conspiracy theory and not true. But, now they're announcing this stuff. And that was as of February 21st of 2021 that I think they made this announcement.
Yeah, and we'd mentioned this
the requirements kicked in. I apologize.
We'd mentioned this in Endgame 2, I think. Yeah, it was like around Halloween. So.
I think it was. Oh, yeah, man, it hasn't been that long.
Yeah.
Dude, and it's funny. I remember about that same time, I think it was October, talking to a coworker. And I was like, so we're going to have to wear masks forever, right? And he's like, nah, man. After the election, we're all going back to normal. This is all going to be over with. This is all just silly. And I was like, you think so? He's like, oh, yeah. And then, of course, I had to say, well, when do you think the election's going to be over? Because, of course, that wasn't, November 4th. But I was talking to him the other day, and I'm like, remember how naive we were? Back when we thought we wouldn't be wearing masks? Or not that I fucking wear it anyhow, but it's, again, just another real life example. Getting called a crazy conspiracy theorist.
Yeah, absolutely. So we did want to kind of mention like all the there are good things going on. We wanted to highlight those.
Yeah.
I mean, protests, I think with protests, the elites just kind of, look how cute that is, right? Those little slaves protesting over there. But it's just good to see that people aren't going to take this laying down. Like, it's good to see that people do disagree with this complete tyrannical, Orwellian style system that they're trying to implement. And so it's just good to see. And you're not going to hear it in the media, but yeah, there's protests all over the world. We're going to get into Germany, but Dad, you got a whole list of places, right?
I do, and you make a great point though. When you're talking about like the protests and what they aren't going to tell us, or what you aren't going to see, because you have an anti-lockdown protest. They don't talk about it, And like there was one over the summer where they were like, oh, these people were open carrying at a government building, so they can make anti-lockdown people look like terrorists, So that's of course when they will cover it. But otherwise, they very selectively cover that kind of stuff. It's actually all over the world. There's a lot of places let's see, like in Europe, for instance, I'm getting this information from an Al Jazeera article, by the way, guys. But in Europe, for instance, let's see, Austria, Belgium, Czech Republic, Denmark, Georgia, Germany, Hungary, Ireland, the Netherlands, Spain, and the United Kingdom have all had decent-sized anti-lockdown protests. There is actually they actually highlight one here in the Netherlands, which is interesting because I don't know, I think people in Holland are usually pretty cool when they back. But they actually supposedly, or what they're claiming, turned violent, resulting in more than 240 arrests after government introduced an overnight curfew in the coastal town of Urk. I don't know if that's how you say it. Violent protesters torched a COVID-19 testing center and threw fireworks at police, which is just, yeah, I'm seriously smiling ear to ear just reading that. That's just hilarious to me. But here's what's really interesting. So Al Jazeera I cannot pronounce that name, sorry. Vessian, reporting from Amsterdam, said the rioters were mostly dissatisfied young men. She added the unrest was being driven in part by, quote, conspiracy thinkers linked to the far-right QAnon movement. So that's hilarious. A, conspiracy thinkers, throwing them under the bus. But B, the fact they're linking them to QAnon. I highly doubt people in Holland are really that into QAnon. But it reminds me of like our buddy Jeremiah Harding, who was getting nuked from social media because, supposedly QAnon, and he's not, So, it's just one of those things that they can just throw out there to make anybody sound, bad and evil. There are some other ones in the Middle East. There are several countries. Really story of note from Tripoli in Lebanon. There was actually a bunch of anti-lockdown protesters who stormed the city's government building and fired live rounds at them. I guess they killed one person and injured 200 others, defending the government building from their constituency. But yeah, I guess there's over 100 countries that have had protests like this, which is cool. It seems like really a lot of the countries that have had nationwide lockdowns have had some sort of protest, and especially countries, it seems, that might be a little bit wealthier. I think in a lot of the really poor countries, I don't know how well they can enforce this stuff. I don't know if people, this might also be a lot of places where people aren't, allowed to protest, so who knows? Like I see like Australia, I'm noticing does not have one of the marks on it that they had protests, but shit, man, they weren't allowed to come out of their house to walk their dog. So they wouldn't have been allowed to protest if they fucking wanted to.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. So, yeah, it is happening out there. You had some other specific ones you wanted to talk about, though, I believe.
Well, I know Germany had some protests, but I don't think this article.
The Al Jazeera one does not mention Germany specifically. No, they just mention a couple specific ones other than that list. They have a cool graphic that does have dots in places that have had the protests, and Germany is one of those dots.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, about it. I know that Germany definitely has. Well, let's see. Anti-lockdown demonstrations have intensified in recent weeks as Germany has tightened coronavirus restrictions, which are in place until at least mid-February. So, yeah, and then let's see. In August, there was a bunch of protests in Berlin, but I keep thinking there's something recently, but
well, we can, if we want to talk about Germany being a place that, of all places, should be extremely apprehensive of extreme government measures and controls and lockdowns and stuff. This whole thing that happened in the 30s and 40s.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, if anybody should know, I mean.
Well, it's funny that we say that because there are a group of people who do know and are actually a little upset about some of this stuff as well. Do we want to transition to that?
Yeah, I guess that'd be a good time to do that.
I mean, I don't know if I'm drawing connections here that shouldn't be drawn, but
we did want to mention the Israel protests.
Yes, in Tel Aviv, they are demonstrators are coming together to protest forced vaccinations. I guess they have something called the Green Passport Program, which allows vaccinated individuals and recovered COVID-19 patients, that's nice of them, to take part in certain activities, including attending mass gatherings, etc. I don't know what else included with mass gatherings, but it's probably all sorts of things that you would think would be a fundamental right, like church services or something like that. Doesn't necessarily say that, but that would be my assumption.
Yeah, and I mean, if you click on this article too, you'll see like they've got like Stars of David, like how the Nazis used to make them wear, and like
Yeah, man, it's great, man. So this picture, it says it's a sign they're holding in this protest, and it's like the green COVID passport, and then it's like, okay, an arrow to the next one. It's like, okay, so then it's these golden stars that you have to wear, and then it shows like the next step is like a tattoo on the arm. You know, so well, you know, the passport isn't good enough. You got to get your COVID tattoo. Obviously, they're making those same connections.
Yeah, and
one of the things that sorry, go ahead.
No, you're good.
Oh, I was just going to say one of the things I find really interesting in this article, which of course we'll link to, but I'm just not sure if I'm reading this right, man. But it says that the protesters demanded that the government remove a 30-year embargo on the details of the Constitution Committee's meetings on coronavirus restrictions. So what I'm reading that to mean is that basically there's like a 30-year like gag order on the details of the meetings for the people who are coming up with this stuff. Like they're not allowed, like it's like top secret, or we're not allowed to know what they were discussing, which should be terrifying to anybody, you know, if you got nothing to hide, right?
Yeah, I mean, if you got nothing to hide, you got nothing to fear, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the worst argument. It's like, no, like just because I have nothing to hide doesn't mean that I want you to look at my fucking underwear and shit. Like, fuck you. But doesn't mean that you can grope me and like whatever. Like that doesn't give you the right.
Well, yeah, because then of course is, well, who's the one who's telling me what I should or shouldn't be hiding? You know, you got your fucking badge on, so you're the one who gets to make that claim. You know,
right? Yeah, it's interesting, and it's really good to see that that people in Israel are making these connections, and they're like, you know, this is going down a road that that is familiar to us, and you know, we don't necessarily like that road. So it's just really good to see that they're out there protesting, and they're and that they're drawing this conclusion. And then and yeah, I mean, if you read the comments in this article too, it's like some of the people who've commented is like, if vaccine is visitor one says if the vaccine is 99% effective and 70% of Israelis have gotten the vaccine already, then why do we still have to walk around in masks and have all sorts of restrictions? Those who have gotten the vaccine are protected, and those who haven't, it's their choice, with the virus far less present than it had been previously. Something doesn't add up, and you don't have to be a rocket scientist to figure that out. And that seems to be, like, in my eyes, that same statement seems to be it seems to be like with every single country on the planet that I hear this stuff from. It's like, you know, get vaccinated twice, and you know, but it's 99% effective, but you can still spread it. So, you know, make sure you wear 3 masks, you know, get your anal swab, socially distance, you know, try not to go out. And it's like and it's global. It's like, why can't we just all live our lives?
Yeah. Yep. And again, if you want to shelter in place forever, fucking be my guest. I don't give a shit.
Just if you do have some, like, you know, there's some old people that I know that I'm like, yeah, I mean, if you're worried, you know, do what you got to do. Like I don't want to force people either way. That's our thing, is that we don't believe that forcing somebody to do something just because we believe it. We don't believe that that's the right thing to do. So
yeah, and it's, you know, it's one of the things when you start letting go of, you know, statism, is it starts getting really scary, because you know, you think, well, what about this? What about that? I have to have a way to make people do things that are, you know, better. And it almost feels like you're like losing control, you know, but then once you get over that and you realize, oh, actually I'm in so much more control now because I can actually solve problems. You know, that's the issue too, you know. There's another comment here, dude, that I really like though. It says, at least the beginning of it, there are 2 groups. One thinks it's protecting its health by taking the vaccine. The other thinks it's protecting its health by not taking the vaccine. Both are legitimate. but it's only one group that is discriminated against and vilified. I'm like, fuck, that's a good point, because again, like you said, if you want, if you fucking think it's good for you and you want to take it, like, fucking do it,
Yeah, I mean, it's your choice.
Do what think's best for you, yeah, but yeah, there is only one group that is being discriminated against and vilified, and that's people who aren't taking this experimental, vaccine or wearing 6 feet of masks or whatever, That's and 25 purple apple.
Thing too is that I cannot find research, long-term research, like 10 plus years on any health effects for this vaccine. So it's like, if I don't know what the long-term effects are, why am I being vilified if I don't want to take it? I don't know what the long-term effects are going to be to my body. And the thing too is that everybody's body's different. Nobody's the same. Like nothing. There's like maybe water is good for everybody, right? But other than water, and even with water, certain quantities would, you can give to like an adult male would be dangerous to give to a baby. So it's like putting this like one size fits all blanket over everything. It just seems so idiotic. And then you've got people who are allergic to certain things, and people with allergies have a hard time with vaccines and stuff. And it's like we cannot vilify these people because we do not know exactly what they have to face every single day. Maybe they have a hard time with vaccines, or they're scared of the vaccine because they're allergic to everything. I mean, there are legitimate concerns in taking this, and there are no long-term effects. So we can't vilify somebody if they don't want to take something.
Oh yeah, and then it's just risk assessment. Like, say I don't get a flu shot. Like, I don't get the flu. So why would I, even if the flu shot's 99% safe or whatever, like, why would I take that 1% risk when I don't fucking have to? If I do get the flu, it's not going to kill me. It's just like, why would I? Like, I'm not concerned about this thing,
Yeah, and it's like with the shot, it's like, oh, well, yeah, you have to take 3 shots now and wear 3 masks. And it's like, I don't know. I just think it's, there's, I think that comment's right. Like, there's something that doesn't add up. And maybe they don't know, but I think the agorists know that this is all just for like one world tyrannical control. I mean, essentially, there's just these people at the top that control most of the governments already through central banks, and they've already partially enslaved everybody on the planet, but they want to completely enslave everybody for whatever reason. And they've got a lot of motivations to do so. They've got money. Like, well, all the rich people have already benefited from these lockdowns.
Oh yeah,
we're seeing record profits from like every billionaire. So, I mean, you can't tell me that these lockdowns haven't benefited these elites. And then you've got
not that I necessarily think just because someone's a billionaire there's something wrong with them, but like, obviously a lot of wealth is transferred because of the effects of this, so that that
yeah, and I'm not trying to say every billionaire is bad or elitist, but there are some out there.
Oh yeah, for sure. And if not, I truly do believe that, like, if we didn't have this big cronyist system, they're probably, being a billionaire might not be as much of a thing that actually happened,
Yeah, absolutely. And I think even Calkins, but let's get into the 10 stages.
Oh yeah, we still have a whole other thing to go over, don't we?
Yeah, it's called the 10 stages. And remember, I think any one of these stages can be before, after, they can be in different orders, or they may occur simultaneously. But again, all of these stages these are the 10 stages of genocide. These are the 10 stages that have happened in every country that's committed, these mass genocides, whether it's Pol Pot or Nazi Germany or wherever. So Rwanda. These are the 10 stages, and they don't necessarily have to be in order. So like stage 1 would be like classification, and we'll have like a picture of this down below. The differences between people are not respected. There's a division of us and them, which can be carried out by using stereotypes or excluding people who are perceived to be different. So like with classification, you could see like there's the vaccinated
Deniers.
class. Yeah, the vax deniers and the vaccinated class, and the people who wear masks and the people that don't. It's us. There's always a division, right? And then that kind of brings in like the symbolization. Like we're willing to wear masks and socially distance and stuff. But stage 2 symbolization says this is a visual manifestation of hatred. Jews and Nazis occupied in Europe were forced to wear the Yellow Star of David. In Cambodia, the Khmer Rouge
That's a tough one.
Yeah, forced people from the eastern zone to wear blue scarves. From 1992, in the Northwest Bosnia, all non-Serbian citizens were forced to wear white armbands. So there's going to be symbolization, right? Whether it's like maybe it's like a vaccine tattoo. Or like,
gosh, even just a mask. I mean, fuck.
Yeah, I mean the people who are maskless, stuff like that. So, or you don't have your vaccine passport or whatever, right? Stage 3, discrimination. The dominant group denies civil rights or even citizenship to identified groups. The 1935 Nuremberg laws stripped Jews of their German citizenship, made it illegal for them to do many jobs or to marry German non-Jews. So
you can't go to the movies, you can't fly.
Yeah, we're kind of already seeing that. If you don't get your vaccine, you can't do X, Y, Z. You're not going to be able to work in the public sector. You might not be able to drive, fly, go to concerts. Actually, who was it? Ticketmaster? I think maybe it was Ticketmaster. I don't know. One of the big ones was like, we want to implement a to be able to go to concerts, you're going to have your COVID vaccine or whatever somewhere. Let me pre-search it. Okay, here it is. Fact check. Ooh, the fact checkers. Ticketmaster. Let me see. Pause your ad blocker. Ticketmaster exploring tech to provide fans COVID status before events. What happened?
So it's like you have to.
Okay, the claim. Proof of vaccination will be required to attend Ticketmaster events. With the announcement of pharmaceutical giant Pfizer and its German partner BioNTech have developed 90% effective vaccine.
Is this one of those fact checks that has nothing to do with the claim?
Yeah, this is bullshit.
I hate them so much, man. They're so like
they try to like confuse you.
They don't even address the point.
Yeah, they don't address the point, and they like swim around it, and they say, well, like maybe, and like nah, like I saw a legit news outlet. Well, not legit because they're all fake, right? But this was like one of the big ones, like New York Times or something. Say that this was actually going to be a thing, like Ticketmaster's basically going to have like a proof of vaccination. And then I think there was backlash, and then Ticketmaster was like, oh no, we're not going to do that. But it just shows you like they wanted to.
Oh yeah, and that doesn't mean they won't. They're just waiting for
the right time.
That's the way the winds are blowing. Let us not say they don't also blow.
There are going to be screening requirements in the future. Now, how much and to what, we don't really have a crystal ball, but we kind of know we kind of know their playbook. So, anyways, so that goes along with stage 3 discrimination. Stage 4, dehumanization. Those perceived as different are treated with no form of human rights or personal dignity. During the genocide of Rwanda, what is that? Tutsis were referred to as cockroaches. The Nazis referred to Jews as vermin. So when you start to see like anything dehumanizing to maybe like quote unquote conspiracy theorists or anti-vaxxers or whatever, that's a big sign that says, okay, this is going in a path that's extremely scary. It's like if they refer to like all anti-vaxxers as like cockroaches or something, right?
Yeah, I feel like deniers is really going to be that term because they're really using the word deniers for like really negative things. So Holocaust denier, climate change denier, I've heard COVID denier. Didn't we before we started recording, we saw something that was like a vaccine deniers or something, or maybe that was the Spain one. Anyhow, I feel like that's really been getting to be a term that's really like,
it's like I don't deny vaccines in general, but like
It's like anybody who questions it, they call it denier. Even like,
yeah,
here's just
it's
a
like I
question
don't
that I didn't
necessarily deny it. I just, I don't necessarily think it's for me. So,
and I say something like climate change, it's like, well, it's a very complex subject. But if you say like, oh, I just don't think that the main narrative that the planet's going to end in 12 years is true, then suddenly you're a climate denier and Bill Nye thinks you should be locked in prison. Like it's it's sometimes just nuance to this shit.
right.
But if you don't just like buy everything hook, line, and sinker. But yeah, at any rate, though, I think
If you don't follow the narrative, if you don't
those.
follow their narrative to the,
Mm-hmm.
So stage 5 is organization. Genocides are always planned. Regimes of hatred often train those who go on to carry out the destruction of a people. The Sudanese government supports and arms the Janjaweed Arab militia in Darfur to carry out violence and killing. Sorry if I butcher some names, guys. I'm not too familiar with them. I'm not familiar with all of them, but yeah. Anyways, so organization, yeah, I mean, we could definitely see that. There's cops right now who are, I mean, I don't put it past any cop or military to follow orders.
Yeah, no kidding.
They were
obviously we've already seen that shit with with all the stuff that's already been going on.
They would never close down somebody's business and destroy somebody's livelihood. No. They've been doing
arrest
that.
people for opening their businesses. There's when they're
that's a constitutional
for not wearing masks.
Yeah, and that goes against their constitutional rights to be able to all the police closing down businesses, that was all unconstitutional in the first place. Yeah. So they don't even follow their own doctrine, and the police are willing to enforce anything that these politicians put in front of them. So the whole argument of, oh well, they won't enforce XYZ, that's bullshit, because there's gun laws today that they enforce, and every single gun law goes against the Constitution, because every single gun law is an infringement. And I'm not a constitutionalist by any means. I think it's just a farce. You've got this piece of paper that's going to stop this big militarized group, mafia from doing bad things to me. Yeah, sure. But it just shows you that they're not even willing to follow their own documentation that they create.
Well, yeah, and it's an excellent point, man, because it's like Spooner points out, right? Like, you and I don't have an obligation to obey the Constitution, but somebody like a police officer who took an oath to protect and defend and blah blah blah, you know what I mean? They do because they did take that oath, right? So like they have like they are supposed to actually follow it, whereas like you and I have no obligation. It doesn't mean anything to us. So yeah, so for somebody like who's supposed to be defending the Constitution and took an oath to defend our rights and stuff like that, who is doing patently the opposite thing, like fuck that guy. But exactly. I don't know, I'm trying to say like what kind of consequences, but like fuck that guy. I'm comfortable saying that.
Yeah, absolutely. Same here. That was a good add-on, by the way. But stage 6, polarization. You're saying this should probably be stage 1, and
I feel like this already. I mean, happens.
I think this is
on a daily basis.
I think this is kind of what they started with. Propaganda begins to be spread by hate groups. The Nazis used the newspaper, blah, blah, to spread and incite messages of hate about Jewish people. So there's the media's, a lot of people think there's a difference between the Chinese media and the U.S. media. There's really not. And there's proof that's out there. I mean, we did an episode with Jeremiah Harding about Operation Mockingbird, and basically the CIA took over all media outlets, and so the government uses all these media outlets basically put in what they want. So, and I mean, if you can't tell what propaganda is, I mean, 2020 should be the year that you should have figured it out, because it was COVID, and then you have the Black Lives Matter, and during the whole COVID thing, everyone was getting kind of mad at the government. So they're like, no. Oh, look at this cop kill this guy, right? And then when that happened, nobody cared about masks. Nobody cared about social distancing. You couldn't find on the front page of CNN, you couldn't find nothing about COVID. It was all about police brutality and the riots during the summer, and the peaceful burnings or mostly peaceful.
Mostly peaceful protests.
Mostly peaceful protest with lots of fire all around me.
And the most nonsense thing about that whole incident there that you're talking about is when like the scientists came out and said, because the racial justice is such an important thing that it's okay to go out and protest. It's okay to take that risk. The COVID, of the COVID because this is such an important thing. It's like, first off, as a scientist, you don't get to have an opinion, but your opinion on some shit like that doesn't fucking matter. You know what I mean? That's not what you do. You didn't take the scientific method and determine what was worth it, right? And then, second off, it's like, okay, well, if it really was so fucking bad, you know what I mean? Then no, you shouldn't be able to do that. I can't open my business. That's not important enough. Me feeding my family is important enough, but you going out and fucking holding a sign or throwing a big brick through the window on the two opposite sides of the thing, that's important enough. It's like, get the fuck out of here, man.
Absolutely, 100% agree, for sure. Yeah, me taking care of my family, that's not important enough. But so stage 7, preparation. Perpetrators plan the genocide. They often use euphemisms such as the Nazis' phrase, the final solution, to cloak their intentions. Acts of genocide are disguised as self-defense if there is an ongoing armed conflict or civil war, such as in Bosnia. Media does. I'm not saying that media commits genocide or anything, but media is really good about like preparation phases.
Mm-hmm.
Like when COVID first came out, like social distancing was the new hot word.
New normal was the other big one. That one hit me the first time I fucking heard it, and then I heard it like twice in the same day. First time I heard it, started hearing it on the same day in multiple places. I'm like, oh, watch that one. That's going to be a big one.
And it was every single news outlet, like every, and it was super fast. And it was masks, social distancing, new normal. Yeah, new normal. There were people saying that were like halfway across the world. And you're like, how did they know?
That was quick. I was like, whoa, and that's just a creepy one. Like, okay, so we know that should have told you right there, things are never going back to normal, right?
Or like the Great Reset, and it's like, how the hell are all these famous people saying, these famous like politicians across the globe saying the Great Reset? Like, like, is there like a memo going around?
Yeah, well, and now after the the January 6th thing. The Capitol deal. We've really been getting a lot more of this kind of thing where now it's okay, everybody we don't like is a domestic terrorist or whatever, so I think that's not necessarily COVID related, but it's kind of all happening together, it's but yeah, I think the way they're doing that is really a good way to separate people, put people in categories, and and then it's self-defense, like it says here, well, whatever we do to these people, it's self-defense to protect us. So it justifies violating the rights of,
they didn't take the vaccine, so we killed them so that they wouldn't get more people sick or, whatever.
Yeah, or they're QAnon or whatever the fuck. So
or they're right-wing extremists. Something. Yeah. Something. So then we've got stage 8, persecution. Victims are identified because of their ethnicity or religion, and death lists are drawn up. People are sometimes segregated into ghettos, deported or starved, and property is often given away. So now, stage 8, I think that you can add, not only ethnicity or religion, but I think you can add like anti-vaxxer. And you didn't get the vaccine, so we can throw you in a camp or a quarantine facility or whatever. And I think wasn't Canadian Parliament saying something like that too? They
were talking about that. We were discussing back in
Endgame 2 or something.
Was Endgame 2, I believe.
Yeah, Endgame 3 was like the power outages and stuff, and
yeah, you're right.
Endgame 2 was like the facilities, and then Endgame 1 was like a broad global enslavement type episode.
Probably, yeah.
I don't know.
Reset was in there somewhere. I can't believe we've done so many of these. This thing just won't end.
Yeah.
I'm so over it.
Trust us, guys. Like we want all this stuff to just end, but government wants to keep persisting.
Well, they might be trying to end it for us in stage 9.
Yeah, stage 9, extermination. The hate group. I could see the hate group being like Antifa. Left. Who knows, right? It could be just anybody.
Just government.
Yeah, government. Yeah, or anybody who's gotten the vaccine. I mean, what did Gina say? That got her in trouble with Disney. Something about like it wasn't the Nazis that turned in their neighbors; it was their neighbors or something.
It was something to the effect of like, oh, it was it didn't just start with that. It was like when people were beating up Jewish people in the streets for having different opinions or whatever, political opinions or violence for political opinions or something, and then she got like unpersoned for that, and they were saying like, oh, because you can't make that reference because you're not Jewish or whatever, you can't make the Nazi reference, something to that effect. But it was basically, hey, we should be cool to our neighbors and not let politics divide us. Well, what she was saying. I mean, that's what not those literal words, but that's what she was saying. Like a totally fine message, and especially when everything these days is supposed to be unity. We're reunifying the country, blah blah blah. Uncle Joe is great. It's something along those lines, man. It was ridiculous, dude.
Yeah, and almost all of these stages fit in with what with what FDR did to the Japanese, except for extermination. Now, a lot of people did die. I think there was like a 9/11. I think it was more than 9/11. I forget the exact number. Don't quote me. A lot of Japanese did die in the camps due to like malnutrition and disease and like no medical care. So.
And I mean, I know it wasn't him who did it, but I mean, the United States did like vaporize 200,000 of them. So that was something. And then also, I'm sure I definitely don't have numbers on this, but I'm sure that there was like hate crimes, like on an individual basis. And I hate the charge of hate crime, but I mean, obviously that could be a thing, but how many times was, Japanese people assaulted just for being Japanese, because of fear that was spread by government or by that kind of thing. I mean, I've even heard people to this day defend it. Well, yeah, we had to, man. You didn't know if they were going to do something. You didn't know if they were going to, attack us from the inside or something. I don't know. Did they lock up German people? I don't know. It seems like it'd be hard to tell who's who.
Right.
In that regard. But yeah, I still know people to this day who still defend that and say like, yeah, we should have done that. We should have locked them in camps, I'm just like, oh God, man. So yeah, that sentiment hasn't necessarily gone away. Even, it's not necessarily just against Japanese people. It's like, no, there's somebody who we perceive that they might possibly be some sort of slim threat. It's totally justifiable locking them up.
Yeah, I mean, and there was polarization and organization and preparation and symbolization, dehumanization, they would call them. Well, I don't want to necessarily say, but everyone knows the racist slang, the Japanese back then. But and then so we've got so stage 9 was extermination. Stage 10, denial. The perpetrators or later generations deny the existence of any crime. Evidence is destroyed and witnesses are intimidated. There's been an increase in Holocaust deniers and denial online in recent years. Now, personally, I personally cannot deny what happened with the Holocaust because my grandfather went in and he liberated some of these Jewish camps. So I personally know that it happened. So I'm definitely not a Holocaust denier. Like I know that it happened, and that's because my family.
I mean, are we
experienced it
firm on that 6 million number? Or?
Yeah, I mean,
I'm just kidding. I don't know. I don't know. I really don't know like anything about it. I'm just being a dick.
Well, they don't have like the I'm sure there's more or whatever, but they don't have the exact number of deaths. But.
Yeah, it's and I don't know. I mean, I don't really know any Holocaust deniers, per se, but I mean, I do think that history is written by the winners, right? So, how long will we have to look back before it's seen as a negative thing? What may end up happening to vaccine deniers or COVID deniers or whatever the fuck they're going to call us. I'm sure for a couple generations it'll be so and so were the big heroes and these COVID deniers are evil. And then, I don't know, a little while later, maybe once we're all dead, it'll come out that, okay, maybe it wasn't that big a deal or something. I don't know. But yeah, history is written by the winner. So obviously it's going to be, a great heroic thing that happened.
Yeah. Well, hopefully government loses, but I think they will in some ways. And unfortunately, maybe even strengthen others. But we have a real opportunity to try to free ourselves, and I think the best way to do that is to get cryptocurrency, and not only crypto, but diversify. Don't put all your eggs in one basket. Get pick up some gold and silver.
Print gats and stack sats, baby boy.
Yeah. Get some guns and some extra rations. Food that lasts 10, 30 years or whatever. So, but yeah, that's. I think we're gonna wrap it up with a quote. If you got that ready, Dag, go ahead and wrap up Endgame 4.
Emergencies have always been the pretext on which the safeguards of individual liberty have been eroded. Frederick von Hayek.
Agorist Nexus out.
Boom.